What if your smartwatch could charge itself just by moving? Or your city streetlights could power themselves using sunlight and vibrations? That's the power of energy harvesting. But before we start, did you know 65% of our listeners aren't following us?
Really?
If you're into everything tech-related, hit that subscribe or follow button.
Okay.
And collect our episodes on pods.media.
Right.
Your support means the world. Thanks, guys. We're diving into energy harvesting today, and you sent us some really interesting research on it. We're talking about how it works, what it can do, and the challenges it still faces.
It's a fascinating field,
Yeah.
and its potential impact on sustainability is huge. Imagine a world where we rely less on batteries and power grids, pulling energy from our surroundings instead.
Okay, let's get into the basics. What exactly is energy harvesting,
So-
and how does it work?
It's about capturing tiny amounts of energy that we usually waste light, heat, vibrations, even radio waves, and converting them into usable electricity.
So instead of plugging into a wall, our devices could just soak up energy from their surrounding.
Exactly.
Wow.
It's similar to how plants use photosynthesis to convert sunlight into energy for growth. In the case of energy harvesting,
Right.
we use different technologies to capture and convert different energy sources.
You mentioned a few different sources there. What are the main methods for capturing this energy?
There are 4 main methods that are being developed and refined right now.
Okay,
We have solar, piezoelectric,
Okay.
thermoelectric,
got it.
and RF energy harvesting.
Let's break those down. I know solar is pretty common. We see it in solar panels on rooftops. How does that work on a smaller scale for energy harvesting?
It's the same principle, just miniaturized. Tiny solar cells, sometimes so small you can barely see them, capture light energy and convert it into electricity. You've probably seen this in calculators or watches.
Right, that calculator I had in school never needed battery. So cool. What about this piezoelectrics thing? Sounds intense.
Really fascinating. It uses special materials that generate an electric charge when they're squeezed or vibrated. Imagine your footsteps on a special floor could help power the lights in a building.
Whoa, that's a serious energy-efficient building. Now, thermoelectric energy harvesting,
Right.
that one has to do with heat.
It takes advantage of temperature differences, like imagine your body heat versus the cooler air.
Yeah.
That difference can be harnessed to generate a bit of electricity.
So you're saying my smartwatch could charge just from my body heat?
Yeah,
That's wild. What's the last one, RF energy harvesting? Does that have something to do with radio?
you got it. It involves capturing radio waves from sources like Wi-Fi signals, cell towers,
Okay.
even radio broadcasts.
Wow.
It's all around us, and that
Yeah.
energy can be used to power small devices.
So my smart home sensor could be powered by my Wi-Fi.
Exactly.
We really are living in the future. But these all sound like tiny amounts of energy. Where are we actually seeing this technology being used in the real world?
It's already making a difference in areas like wireless sensor networks.
Okay,
Particularly for the Internet of Things, IoT.
got it.
Think about sensors in remote relations like forests or farms. They need power,
Right.
but it's hard to constantly replace batteries.
Okay, that makes sense. So energy harvesting means no more trekking out to change those batteries?
Precisely. These sensors can use a combination of solar, wind, or even vibration energy to power themselves,
Wow.
collecting data without needing maintenance.
That's game-changing for research, agriculture,
Uh-huh.
all sorts of things. What about wearable tech?
Right.
I feel like that's got to be a huge area for energy harvesting.
Absolutely. Wearable devices like fitness trackers or smartwatches are perfect candidates for energy harvesting.
Okay.
Especially using motion or body heat. Imagine never having to plug in your fitness tracker again.
That would be amazing. And I've heard some buzz about energy harvesting being used in cities to make them smarter and more sustainable.
Yeah,
Is that a thing?
it's definitely gaining traction.
Okay.
Think about streetlights that power themselves using solar panels and vibrations from passing traffic.
Oh, wow.
Cities could become much more energy efficient and reduce their reliance on traditional power grids.
So lower energy bills and a smaller carbon footprint, that's a win-win for cities.
Absolutely.
It seems like we're just scratching the surface of what this technology can do.
Right.
What about industrial applications?
Industrial settings are a prime target for energy harvesting. Think of factories or power plants. They're full of sensors that need constant power.
Right.
Replacing batteries in those environments can be expensive and dangerous.
Yeah, that makes sense. So how does energy harvesting come into play?
Well, these sensors could be powered by the heat,
Yeah.
vibrations, or even electromagnetic fields already present in the industrial environment.
Wow.
This means less maintenance, less risk, and ultimately lower costs for businesses.
It's incredible how much potential this technology has across so many different sectors. But let's be real.
Okay.
There have to be some limitations, right? It can't all be sunshine and roses. What are some of the hurdles energy harvesting still faces?
Of course, no technology is perfect.
Right.
And energy harvesting has its fair share of challenges. One of the biggest is efficiency.
So it's not quite ready to power our cars or homes just yet?
Not quite. Current technologies capture relatively small amounts of energy, which limits them to lower power applications.
Makes sense.
It's enough for sensors and wearables,
Yeah.
but not for running your refrigerator or electric car.
So we're still a ways off from living completely off the grid then.
For now, yes, but researchers are making strides every day.
Okay.
Another challenge is scalability.
Right.
It's one thing to power a single sensor,
Yeah?
but it's another to power an entire building or a city block.
Got it.
We need to find ways to capture and store larger amounts of energy to make it more practical for widespread use.
Okay, so efficiency and scalability are two big ones. Any other hurdles we need to be aware of?
Cost is another significant factor.
Right.
Developing and deploying these energy harvesting solutions can be expensive,
Okay.
especially on a larger scale. We need to find ways to make it more affordable to encourage wider adoption.
So finding that sweet spot between performance and affordability is key.
Absolutely. But despite these challenges,
Yeah.
research and development are moving at an incredible pace. Scientists are constantly working on new materials,
Yeah.
designs, and technologies to improve efficiency, scalability, and affordability.
That's reassuring to hear. So despite these challenges, it sounds like the future of energy harvesting is still pretty bright.
Without a doubt.
Hmm.
The potential benefits are just too enormous to ignore.
Well, I'm excited to see what the future holds, but you're the expert here. What are some of the things we might expect to see down the road with energy harvesting?
There are so many possibilities.
Yeah.
One area that holds immense potential is the integration of energy harvesting with the rollout of G and even 6G networks.
Okay, now that sounds super interesting. Tell me more about that.
As we move towards a hyper-connected world with billions of devices, from
Right.
smartphones to smart homes to autonomous vehicles, the demand for energy will only grow.
And that's a big concern for sustainability.
Exactly. But what if these devices could be powered, at least in part, by energy harvesting? We could significantly reduce our reliance on traditional power sources and create a more sustainable, resilient network.
That would be a game changer. What other possibilities are you most excited about?
Well, beyond the 5G, 6G integration,
Yeah.
think about the sustainability impact.
Okay.
Imagine a world where we use fewer batteries, which often contain harmful chemicals, and where we rely less on fossil fuels for our devices.
Got it.
That's a cleaner, healthier future.
That's a future I can definitely get behind. But what about the innovation potential? What new tech could emerge from energy harvesting?
As materials science and designs advance,
Okay.
we might see everything from self-powered smartphones and laptops to electric vehicles that can charge themselves while driving.
Wow, that's almost hard to imagine. We've covered so much ground today.
Yeah.
But before we move on, I want to hear your overall thoughts on what this all means for the future. Where do you see this technology taking us?
I think energy harvesting has the potential to completely reshape our relationship with technology and the environment.
Right.
Instead of viewing energy as something we must generate and consume,
Okay.
we can see it as something all around us, just waiting to be harnessed.
That's a powerful way to put it. I'm feeling pretty optimistic about the future after this deep dive.
Me too. It's an exciting time to be alive and witness this incredible technological revolution unfold.
Well said. We're going to take a quick break,
Okay.
but when we come back, we'll delve further into the future of energy harvesting and discuss some of the exciting developments on the horizon. Stay tuned.
Good.
We're back, and before the break, we were discussing how energy harvesting is already making waves in various fields. But I'm curious, what are some of the specific advancements happening right now that are pushing the boundaries of what's possible?
There's so much exciting research going on. For example, in solar energy harvesting, scientists are developing new types of solar cells that are more efficient at capturing light even in low-light conditions. Imagine solar cells that can work effectively indoors or on cloudy days.
That would open up a whole new range of applications. What about piezoelectric energy harvesting?
Right.
Are there any breakthroughs happening in that area?
Researchers are developing new piezoelectric materials that are more sensitive and can generate more electricity from smaller movements. They're also exploring ways to integrate these materials into everyday objects like roadways and buildings to capture energy from vibrations and movement.
So we could be generating electricity just by walking down the street or driving over a certain type of pavement.
Exactly.
Wow.
It's all about creatively integrating these materials into our surroundings. And in thermoelectric energy harvesting, scientists are focusing on new materials that can convert even small temperature differences into usable electricity. Imagine a fabric woven with thermoelectric threads that could power your smartphone just from your body heat.
That sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
Yeah. And what about RF energy harvesting? Any exciting developments in that realm? Researchers are constantly working on making RF energy harvesting more efficient and expanding the range of frequencies that can be captured. Imagine a world where we can capture energy not just from Wi-Fi, but from a broader spectrum of radio waves that surround us.
So instead of being bombarded by radio waves, we could actually harness their energy. That's a fascinating concept. But looking beyond the technical aspects, I'm curious about the bigger picture. How could energy harvesting impact society as a whole?
On a societal level, I think it has the potential to make us much more energy conscious. When we rely on batteries and the power grid, it's easy to take energy for granted. But when we start seeing the energy all around us that we could be capturing, it changes our perspective.
It's like becoming aware of an invisible resource that's been there all.
Precisely. That awareness can lead to more sustainable choices and behaviors. Imagine a world where people are actively seeking out ways to reduce their energy consumption and to harness these ambient energy sources.
Let's take a quick break here.
Okay.
We are open for partnerships. Got a cool project? We've got the spotlight you need. We're opening our doors to a limited number of newsletters and podcast sponsorships, offering an exclusive opportunity to promote your brand and connect with our passionate audience. Check out the link in our newsletter or hit us up across all socials. We got this.
All right.
It could spark a real shift in how we think about energy. And what about the impact on the tech industry itself? How could energy harvesting change the way we design and use electronic devices?
I think it could lead to a paradigm shift in device design. Right now, we're limited by the size and capacity of batteries, but with energy harvesting, we could create smaller, lighter, and more durable devices. Imagine implantable medical devices that power themselves using energy from our bodies or sensors embedded in infrastructure to monitor its health in real time.
It's like giving devices a level of independence we've never seen before. But as with any new technology, we need to consider both the potential benefits and the potential risks.
Right.
Are there any downsides or ethical considerations we should be thinking about?
Absolutely. It's crucial to approach any new technology with a critical eye. One concern is the potential for energy harvesting to be used for unintended purposes. If devices can power themselves using ambient energy, it could raise questions about how that energy is being used and who controls it.
That's an important point. We need to ensure that the development and deployment of energy harvesting technology are guided by ethical principles and responsible practices.
Open dialogue and collaboration are key. We need to involve experts from different fields, scientists, engineers, policymakers, and ethicists to ensure that this technology is developed and used in a way that benefits society as a whole.
It sounds like energy harvesting has the potential to be a truly transformative technology.
Yeah.
But it's up to us to guide its development responsibly.
Absolutely. It's an exciting and challenging time, but I believe we can harness its power for...
Well said. We've explored the incredible potential of energy harvesting, but I think it's time to wrap things up and leave our listeners with some final thoughts on what this all means for the future. What kind of world do you envision if energy harvesting fulfills its promise?
I envision a world where energy is no longer a limiting factor, but a ubiquitous resource seamlessly integrated into our lives. A world where our devices are free from the constraints of batteries and power cords, constantly replenishing themselves from the energy around us.
That sounds like a truly liberating future. Anything else you want to leave our listeners with?
I think the most important thing is to stay curious and engaged. The field of energy harvesting is constantly evolving with new discoveries and innovations emerging all the time. The future is full of possibilities, and it's up to all of us to explore those possibilities and shape the world we want to live.
That's an inspiring message to end on. Thank you for joining us today and sharing your expertise. And for our listeners out there, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep. We've spent this deep dive exploring the exciting world of energy harvesting, from how it works to its potential applications and the challenges it faces.
It's been a fascinating journey, and we've covered a lot of ground.
Right.
But one thing is clear. Energy harvesting isn't science fiction.
Yeah.
It's a reality that's already shaping our world.
Before we wrap things up, I'd love to hear your vision for the future. What kind of world do you see if energy harvesting fulfills its promise?
I envision a world where our devices are no longer tethered to power outlets or limited by battery life. A world where the energy that surrounds us powers the technologies that connect and inform us.
No more hunting for outlets at the airport.
Yeah.
Or worrying about your phone dying in the middle of an important call. Like to live in.
Exactly. But it goes beyond mere convenience. Imagine a world where we reduce our dependence on fossil fuels and minimize our environmental impact by tapping into readily available ambient energy. It's a cleaner, more sustainable future for generations to come.
Before we get into the nitty-gritty, I want to give a massive shout out to our partners at Perks.
Oh, yeah, they're great.
Yeah, the masterminds behind some seriously awesome free marketing tools for, you guessed it, on-chain creators.
Definitely check them out.
Yeah, go check them out on Farcaster X. I have to say, this deep dive has left me feeling incredibly optimistic about the future.
I couldn't agree more. It's an exciting time to be alive
Yeah.
and witness this incredible technological shift unfold before our eyes.
Well said. And to our listeners, we hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity about the incredible possibilities of energy harvesting. If this topic energized you, please hit that subscribe or follow button and share this episode with your friends.
Remember, the future of energy is in our hands. Let's work together to make it a bright and sustainable one.
That's a wrap on this deep dive into energy harvesting. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.